1,000 subscribers. Who am I? Thank you so much. We're gonna do a Q&A video because that's what people do when they hit milestones. Got a bunch of great questions about video stuff, doing too many things, my hair, my firm, Logan, how to balance all the things I do while being a family man. Hey, ooh.
You cute.
So I sent out a tweet. Sandy Johns, how do you juggle being part owner of a firm with your side hustle of Realize/YouTube/newsletter while also being a family man? So I think the common thing you see with people that look super, super busy is not so much what do they do, but what do they not do that you're currently doing? So how do you get off the hook for doing stuff that you're doing so that you can do the stuff that you want to do, right? And I feel like that comes down more to team building, investing time in finding the right people, like finding the right editor for this channel. That was like a 6-month process. So when people reach out and say, hey, your editor's great, do they have any free time? I'm like, no, go away. You know how long I looked for this? Getting in alignment on how to do stuff, it's a lot of time and work. So I'd say it's 2 things, building the right team and then finding things to not do. So I don't do new client intake. I don't do a lot of stuff that I know other people do in their firms. And the space you carve out is left for being that family man. Hey, in the blue shirt, you, Batman pants. What's your name? Oh, jeez. That's what it's all about, right? Pink dress. I'm just kidding. Okay, you can go back to eating. Carlos Cortez, what are the things you wish you knew before you entered these projects from a technical, management, and personal standpoint? Personal? Probably just how big of a deal all the people in your family have, what a big deal they all are, and how your support system enables all of this stuff. When you do stuff like this, you're never the only one involved in it, and that's fine. It just means making room for it so that you actually have time to do all this stuff with family and friends and all that. From a technical standpoint, developing your own technical capability in the context of a firm is a very short-term problem, because what matters more than all of that stuff, by and large, is the technical capabilities that you can build within your team. So if you're a solo operator, sure, it matters what your technical abilities are. But for most of us, that's such a tiny, tiny window of your profession when you're working by yourself. The bigger thing is how to build that into a team, motivate people, attract people. And so I probably overestimated the importance of my own technical abilities and underestimated the importance of Who Not How's a great book. Is that what it is? Who Not How? Basically, the sooner you can get from the mindset of what do I need to know to how do I find the people that know what our company needs to know, that's a big unlock. A lot of accountants never get past that. Let me see. That's not a Tootsie Roll. We'd love to know the business side metrics you use for your firm, measuring profitability, assessing employees, etc. I've got a unique firm setup, so I bought a 75-year-old firm. I have partners, and it comes with all the trappings you would expect from a traditional firm that's been around a long time. I chose to do that over starting my own thing from scratch because at the time I was 30 years old. I didn't really want to scrap for the type of clients you get when you're 30 years old. It's just a generational thing. What mature business that's run by a 50-year-old is gonna take financial advice from somebody at that age? Like, it's a thing, it's just hard. So I decided to buy instead. So what we're doing is more repositioning our firm to, rather than being a partner-led firm, be kind of a mid-level led firm. So you have higher level, mid-level people, more growth opportunities for them, but at the end of the day, it's not the partner running everything. So our transition, what we're pushing right now is more cultural, more systems related. And then I think once we've got that down, we know how we want to build those teams and all that, that's when you really start measuring, nailing down the framework, and optimizing. But right now, we've just got too many moving pieces to do too much of that. I think a lot of people feel that right now. Why do you talk to Scott but not me?
Hey Doc, how come you give him love but not me?
Logan's talking about a podcast interview I did with Scott Scarano, Sons of CPAs podcast, check that one out. And Logan's mad that I ignore his messages, but I do podcast interviews. Carlos Cortez, how come you didn't know who the super cool CPE guy was? I don't care about the guy, but how could you not have known? I guess we aren't perfect. Congrats on the YouTube feat. Okay, so this is from the PBC video. I didn't know who he was. Honestly, I'm actually not that plugged into like a lot of that stuff. I kind of am doing my own thing. I don't know if there's that many other people doing what I'm doing right now. I'm just having fun making stuff, but yeah, shame on me, I guess, right? That's not yours, pink skirt. Jeremy Miller, how has your YouTube channel impacted the firm, if at all? Laughing, crying emoji. It hasn't impacted the firm that much. I don't really market for my firm because we're actually trying to contract the size of our firm, be more focused about what we're doing. It's definitely informed the way that we approach marketing for our firm when we identify here's the exact types of people that we want. It's obviously a big advantage having all this equipment and that sort of thing to be able to produce something from a firm that looks really, really nice. Maybe a third of my firm even knows about this content. And if you're on Twitter, you know this. For whatever reason, most people aren't really interested in engaging with social media on an ongoing basis. So even if they do know you do it, most of them don't really care. In fact, that's one thing I've learned about starting a YouTube channel. It's called the spotlight effect. You do something like this and you're like, oh my gosh, what is everybody gonna think? What is my mom gonna say? What are my colleagues gonna say? It's gonna be so embarrassing. When at the end of the day, you know what? Nobody cares. They're all worried about their own stuff. So it hasn't really impacted much. Wasn't there another one? Put me down for the hair question, I must know. So let's cover the arc of hair from early days to where we are today. So in the beginning, high and tight. That's how I've had it for a while. But you know what? Never had long hair before in my life. And it's something I wanted to try. I don't know how it works. I haven't had long hair before. When? It wasn't anywhere near as long as this. So if I can spin this into a lesson, don't be afraid to look stupid doing a new thing. You ever seen some of my first videos?
And that's it. But the real, the clever thing that it does is it gives you a web form.
You're gonna look dumb no matter what. Tell you what though, long hair, you go through a real awkward phase. It's not long enough to do anything with it. It just gets in the way all the time. And let me tell you, I shoot these videos on the weekend and I'm usually feeling lazy. So I'm looking for a headband, something like that, just to keep it out of my face. Because you know what, I don't care, doesn't matter. I got it pretty well wrangled in the professional context during the week, but on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm rolling out of bed. Do I really need to go shower? It's just a lot of work, so you know what, no promises. Make it something a little different every week. Now that you're 1K plus, do you think of YouTube ad revenue? Jacob Oberlander. Not really, because it's not really the function of this channel. So this channel by definition is super niche. I'm a firm owner, and the majority of the audience is other firm owners or team leaders. And that's never something that's gonna be mainstream, right? If there's any element of monetization of this channel, it's to send people to my accountant community. So there's never gonna be a version of this channel that has 1 million subscribers and you actually make ad revenue from it. Now, it doesn't mean that someday I wouldn't do a more mainstream channel. I've actually got one, Jas. Is it Try Jas? I don't even know what it's called. Jas being like a little play on Jason as a service. And honestly, I'd intended to do more generic non-accountant specific automation content through that channel. But when I sit down to write stuff, what I get excited about right now is the accounting stuff. So I usually pursue where is my interest in that moment? What's the stuff that's just coming out of me easily? Because I think that's always the stuff that you do best. And for now, that's accounting stuff. But maybe someday. Compensation structure for partners / managers in a $5 million firm. Wouldn't you like to know, Ryan Berger? Just kidding. What we've done, and it's worked pretty well, which I don't think is normal, is there is no element of eat what you kill in our firm. So nobody's compensated by how many clients that they have, their revenue from their clients, and it enables this very collaborative approach where if this person is better suited for a client, then you just move them to that client. There's no other considerations to it. Especially as we're moving towards the partners getting out of the way and not being a partner-led firm, then you really can't do an eat what you kill model. It takes a lot of trust with your partners. It takes kind of a general sense of accountability that everybody's contributing in their own way. But the way it's laid out right now, we have a client success partner. It's a guy that's super passionate about working with clients, and that's what he wants to do all day long. That's what gives him energy. I'm more the operations partner, so I do the internal stuff. I manage talent. I try to find new staff. I build our systems. I do marketing, stuff like that, and I do very little direct client-facing stuff. And then we've got an assurance partner, the technical person that comes up with kind of what's our firm position gonna be on all these things. So what's working for us? I don't know if it's because that's an optimal model or if that's just what makes the most sense with the people that we have. But I'm not a fan of the eat what you kill thing. It's too, I don't know, adversarial. You have to go potty or you went potty? Tax Telegraph, advice for peeps like me getting into YT. If you're thinking about doing YouTube, think about what you wanna get out of it, because there's a ton of different reasons to do it, most of which are not monetization or to become an influencer or something like that. How it started for me was I just wanted to get better at video because it seemed like a really powerful one-to-many way to reach out to people, to connect with people. How it all started actually was during COVID relief. We did a couple of webinars and I had never done anything like that before. I had never done any video at all really, so the videos were bad, but people got so much value out of them. And it's this thing I talk about quite a bit, asymmetric intimacy. The idea that someone knows you really, really well, but you don't know them. And you know that. And the first time you talk with somebody who already really loves you and you've never talked with them before, you see the power of that. I experienced that. Some people who had gone through our webinars and they came in day one, they already love you. And when I experienced that, I was like, holy smokes, this is so powerful. This is something we need to lean into. Clients, when they come to us now, they need to know about us beforehand. They need to already have a relationship with us because you've already built their trust. And it's just a totally different way of navigating professional services. So for me, it was just to get better at video. What it's developed into is now I'm attracting like-minded firm owners, and a lot of them are joining my community, and that's become an incredibly powerful thing for me. So now when I make decisions in my firm, it's a product of having thought through those concepts with 40 to 60 other firm owners, and it's completely changed how I manage my firm. So it depends what you want to get out of it. Do you want to attract clients? If you do that, YouTube channel's got to be really, really niche. Do you just want to get better at video? It's a great low stakes way of practicing. Do you want to be an influencer? Just don't. If you're not following Logan's YouTube channel yet, his vlogs are excellent. Ambergris Fenner waffles or pancakes? Feels like a trap.
It's a trap!
That's a trap. James Yoakum, I'd be curious, at the $5 million mark, how you're onboarding clients and handing off the work/upkeep. I've taken a look at using Slack for our larger clients and think I might make the move. I'm trying to put some systems in place now that'll hopefully allow me to grow to that point. I don't know that size necessarily drives what the right way to do that is. At a firm our size, it's about having people that can build relationships with clients. If the firm that you want to build is, what is the highest leverage version of the firm that is just me, or just me still managing all of my clients, maybe Team Chat's a higher leverage way to do that. A couple things with Team Chat apps that are kind of a slippery slope. The upside of them are that it genuinely makes you a more integrated part of their team, and that's awesome. But that is a very different engagement than one where you're not in their Team Chat app. So you either need to assign a really big premium to that and do way fewer of those engagements than you would traditional engagements, or you design a different level of support within your firm. More of a high volume level of support, probably something with less expertise. So you have these kind of more support agents or customer success people, and maybe those are the ones managing those Slack channels. Bunch of different ways you can do it, just be careful, because the thing that makes those really, really powerful, where you become part of their team, is the same thing that'll absolutely like blow up the scope of an engagement. Scott Scarano, what is your favorite color? Matte, green, everything. I thought Blue Coat had the peanut allergy. Michael Lee, how long did it take your firm to get to 5 million? 80 years. As a matter of fact, I think this is the largest this firm has ever been. I haven't been there the whole time. We've grown quite a bit in the last 4 or 5 years. Just looking at revenue growth, a lot of that was driven by the CAS practice I started 4 or 5 years ago. But I didn't spin this thing up from scratch. We got a big team, and I got a lot of respect for the people who do start from scratch. But at my stage of my career with young kids and all that, I decided to buy. I got a lot of thoughts on that. That could be its whole own video. Sean Marley, the value of what you're doing for other firms is huge. Would love to hear your why and the impact it's had. Thank you, Sean. Community, man. It's all about community. I'll give you a great example. About 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, we were going through a big software change, and this was pre-COVID, pre-me doing any sort of social media. And we were using, I think it was Office tools for practice management. And we had only been on that for like a year or two, but we were switching to the Thomson Reuters suite, and they do what they always do, where it's like, oh, we know you want UltraTax, but we're gonna give you all these other things for basically for free for the next 3 years. So they tried to push us to practice CS, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a great deal. Why wouldn't we do that? So we make a switch based on what all the salespeople tell you, which is absolutely useless data. So we had terrible information, like no reason we ought to be making that decision based on a salesperson, but it's what we all do, and it was awful. Practice CS was worse than Office tools in every way. And knowing the people that I know now, never would have done that same thing. Come a long ways in my thinking in just that 3-4 years. I'm really only looking cloud-based now. But when I make a decision like that now, it's validated by a whole bunch of other people. What are the problems I'm experiencing now that I want to solve for? I'm not the only one with those problems. A whole ton of other firm owners are too. And as much as I love to pride myself in figuring out, hey, come up with the best solution for that thing, you're way better off following 50 other people who have done the same thing before you and stealing the best implementation of what they did. So everything I do is about community. When I put out a Twitter thread of valuable stuff that I just learned, what always happens is you get 10 or 20 other people that chime in other experiences that they've had that add a totally different level of richness to your understanding of that topic than what you would otherwise have. And the whole notion of having more to lose than to gain is built on the premise that you somehow know more than the collective experiences of everybody else, which is never gonna be the case, right? So I'm interested in community building, finding other people doing the same things that I do. It makes us all more enjoyable, but also makes me better at everything that I do. That's a great question, Sean. Did you stay in public? If so, what was the transition like? He clarified he means that I transitioned from Big 4 Regional. I never did Big 4 Regional. I went through an undergrad program near Portland where that was the sexy thing to do. Get in with a Big 4 firm, go do your training at Disney World, get the signing bonus. But I'd learned about audit and travel and what that lifestyle looked like and was like, absolutely nope. I also wasn't planning on doing accounting or tax at all. I got an internship after my sophomore year with a firm that paid better than what all my other friends were making. That's how I started in accounting, and I never left. So that was an itty bitty firm. Then I moved to the firm I was at now. I helped grow that firm a bunch, and then was like, I need to buy this before I grow it more and then pay for all the stuff I just built. And here we are. So I'm not your guy for Big Four regional. I have no interest in like working in that sort of environment myself. Ryan Elblian. Sorry, Ryan. Would love to know more about the video setup that you use. There's a website for that. I usually link it under my videos. You can check that out. Sony a6400. Bunch of other stuff. What makes these videos look good is the color profiling, not the hardware. You go back and look at some of my earliest DSLR videos, they look so bad. But what makes this look like cinematic, it's color profiling. I've actually got a whole like 12-part video series on how I do my videos. If you're interested, I'll put a link to that in the video description. Thank you to everyone that kicked in questions. I'm having so much fun right now. If you got any ideas for the type of stuff you'd like to see on this channel, drop them in the comments. It's still super early days. We'll see what comes of this. Trying different stuff like old ledgers and let's build a thing, CPE. Just trying some different stuff and seeing what sticks. But I appreciate y'all. If you want to go deeper, check out my accountant community, Realize, rlz.io. And make sure you're on my weekly newsletter. We talk tech and I share all the stuff I'm doing, not only here, but everywhere else. Doing a bunch of podcast interviews right now. My weekly newsletter is the best way to see all that stuff as it comes out. So thank you all. Yep. Sitting on a pretty big hill. My yard isn't flat, but through the magic of post-production, it can be. That's not a Tootsie Roll. That's not your cat. Gotta think of some other stuff that's like a joke on the Family Man thing and not knowing people's names. Blue coat, Batman pants, tiny person, long hair. Hey sweetie, if you're between me and the camera, it means the camera can't see me. Okay, I'm gonna be talking and then try putting it in my mouth while I'm talking, okay? In the end, it's just about trying to make room for, okay, let me try one more time. That's gonna be really good. Thank you.